This is the material you need to know category. The book is No More Mondays. It's by one of my best friends, Dan Miller. Dan and I have been friends for a couple of decades. He wrote a book that I've endorsed on the radio show for many years called 48 Days to the Work You Love. This book is blasted off as soon as it took off. Mainly, the title is just fabulous. Welcome, Dan. Good to have you, man.
Thank you, Dave.
Good to have you. This is good material. I read this book. I absorbed this thing, as I always do when you write stuff, and it's stuff that lines up exactly with what we teach, as always. So I want to get right down to it. People hate their jobs.
They do.
Too many people hate what they're doing.
Too many jobs. Any survey shows between 70 and 80% of Americans say they'd change their jobs if they could. Now that's ludicrous. In a land of greatest opportunity, how is that possible? It's not that there are that many bad jobs or that many ignorant people. They haven't taken the time to look at themselves. We tend to get the cart before the horse. So it's a process of looking at yourself, identifying what is unique about you, and then putting legs on that. You can go into meaningful, fulfilling, purposeful, and profitable work.
It's amazing to me because I grew up in a household. My parents, one of the things they always said was just find something you do that love it. And if you hate your job, change it. You know, this is America. If you don't like the pay, you don't like the jerks, you don't like the environment, you don't like what you do, you don't like, change it. Change
Absolutely.
it. And one of the chapters in here that I loved in that regard was the Charlie Brown thing. Who's making your lunch?
One of my favorite Peanuts cartoons is, Charlie Brown complains about his lunch, and Linus, says, well, who makes your lunch? Every day it's bologna. Who makes your lunch? And Charlie Brown finally admits, I do. And that's really kind of a metaphor for where people are in their jobs. Yeah, if you don't like your job, there's lots of opportunities. Why would you just complain and stay there? Why would you belittle the boss, the company? Do something, take action, and make a correction.
It's a free country.
It is.
So what do you mean on the front of here? You say fire yourself and other revolutionary ideas to discover your true calling to work. Fire yourself.
Absolutely. Now, I mean that theoretically, not literally. Don't burn any bridges. But I work with people every day who have got the bad news. Their job has been offshored. It doesn't exist anymore. They got the pink slip, the bonus package, whatever. They're gone. And it's immediate, knee-jerk reaction. I'm doomed. I'm starting over. Everything I've got is gone. I'm going to have to turn in my club membership, take the kids out of private school. But you know what? We look at some options, and almost without exception, about 18 months later, I talk to them, and they say, you know what? That was the greatest thing that ever happened to me because it forced me to look at what my options were. And I went to a higher level of success, not a lower one. So I'm saying, why wait for circumstances to do that to you? Draw a line in the sand and ask yourself, would I go back to the same job I have tomorrow that I have today by choice? Or am I in a new season of life? Can I go into something that would be more fulfilling, a better fit, higher pay? And that's why I think it's healthy to fire yourself. Theoretically.
Yeah, well, and you don't want to do a knee-jerk thing where you leave the kids where they can't eat or the electric bill that doesn't get paid.
No.
But stop and, turn off the television and start to be a little bit contemplative about this and go, hey, I'm investing most of my life in my work. Hours-wise, logistically, energy, creative juices, spiritually, your relationships, everything. We all pour it into our work. And so why not be doing something that at least most days you get home and you go, it was a pretty good day. If you don't like your bologna sandwich, Charlie Brown, make a different lunch.
Absolutely.
It's good stuff.
Thus, no more Mondays. I mean, if you have fulfilling work, Monday should be just as enjoyable as Friday. We've allowed the negative stigma of work to creep into our speech. Thank God it's Friday, oh God it's Monday. We just get caught up in that garbage. Work does not have to be something distasteful. It should be the most fulfilling opportunity in our lives to do something worthwhile.
All right, in No More Mondays, you give a new definition of the word risk. So talk about risk.
We always think risk is something negative, and we assume that doing anything other than the predictable, the mundane, the same thing we've been doing is risky. No, as you know, you talk about that, risk is when you don't have any control. So if you go to Las Vegas and you put the title to your car down on a roll of the dice, that's risky. You have no control. It's just circumstances are going to define what happens. That I would never recommend to anybody. But if you really take a look at yourself, understand what is unique about you, from that create a clear plan of action. See it on paper, what's going to happen, and walk into that. That, to me, dramatically reduces risk. And thus, I reframe that term. That's seizing a new opportunity or going to a higher level of success. It's not risky. Risk is to expect things to stay the same in any situation. It's not going to happen.
All right, the book is No More Mondays with Dan Miller. He's our guest tonight. Check it out at DaveRamsey.com. We got a special deal running on it right now, along with some other things we'll throw in. So be sure you pick it up. It is an absolute Dave Ramsey must read. Let me tell you, 1/3 of the people that come into our office for financial counseling do so because of some kind of messed up deal around their career and their income. They got laid off, downsized, reorged, whatever you want to call it, and then they're having to start with a little less money or no money, and they didn't have a game plan. There's no reason to spend your life hating Mondays. No more Mondays. Everybody's talking about it. I've been talking about it all the time. It's not a recession. We're not in a recession, but everybody's all worried about the recession. So how do you recession-proof your job?
You know, recession is a political and economic term. You know, it's something that happens in Washington, D.C., but when it comes right down to it, I tell people, you know, your chances of success are not going to be determined by what happens in the White House. It's what happens in your house. I don't know how to get my hands around. If I really understand what I do well, I'm going to be able to go out here and find 20 ways to put legs on that. Companies that want to have me on board, and that's true for everybody. So don't get caught up in these generalities. Just look at your own life, make a plan, and go out and execute it.
I talked to a guy the other day. He said, there may be a recession, but I refuse to participate.
There you go. Absolutely. Refuse to participate.
Fun. Now, somebody's watching us right now tonight, and they're going, you've been talking about me for the last few minutes. I hate my job. I'm stuck in a rut. I need to get out of here. I need to make my own lunch. I need to fire myself. We don't want to do it knee-jerk and leave the family at risk, but we need to start making plans to go do something with your life that matters, to have work that matters, as we say around our place all the time. What are some steps that I should go through if that's me?
Sure. We have to recognize change is inevitable. Whether or not you like it, it's inevitable. So our choice is not, is it going to happen to me? It's how am I going to respond? Now, I happen to like change. You know, you like change. We do things to create change, but I know that's not true for everybody. But we have to look at the seasons that we go through. I mean, even a baby, you know, first trimester in the womb, second trimester, play, eat, sleep, hear noises, all of that, and then comes that fateful day in the third trimester. Man, he's being pushed out. That's not pleasant. He assumes it's going to be death to what he knows. But you know what? On the other side, there's life and new opportunities. We have to approach changes in our life like that. We're going through maybe that birth canal to something on the other side, but there are lots of opportunities. Now, how do you do that? You look at yourself. Too many people get the cart before the horse. 85% of the process of having the confidence of proper direction in your career comes from looking at yourself. What are my skills and abilities? What are my personality tendencies? What are my values, dreams, and passions? What are those? What puts me in the zone? We talk about athletes being in the zone. What is it that when you're doing it, time just flies by? Once you understand yourself that much, that's that 85%, then the 15% is the application. Now, what are 10 things you could do that would put legs on that? It's not just one thing. I've been trained as a truck driver, so all I could do is apply for that. No, what are 8 or 10 things you could do? You know, I often hear from people in education where they say, well, I was working for a parochial school. I loved being there, but I wasn't making any money. So I took another job. Now it doesn't align with my values, but I doubled my income. Which should I do? Compromise my income or my values? Why would you think there are only 2 choices? We ought to come up with 20 choices in that situation, things you could do that would take your desire to be an academic and education. You could create audio CDs, you could do instructional material, you could do training seminars in corporations. We could come up with a whole list of things that you could do that may tweak that old normal work model that you're used to, but really give you a sense of new opportunities.
Phenomenal. So look inward. That's 85% of the process. Identify the skills and abilities, the passions, the value system, which are things you wrote about in 48 days as well.
Absolutely.
And then the book is today, No More Mondays. Our guest has been Dan Miller, and absolutely phenomenal stuff. I'm going to give it one more time, tell you that you can get this at DaveRamsey.com. It's absolutely incredible, life-changing material, because what you do with your life, the essence of your life, and how you pour that out to create income and create service in our sanctified capitalistic economy, where you serve others well, you get paid well, matters completely. It is a big deal that you work in such a way that you get energy from it rather than losing all your energy. And these are the things that Dan has been teaching for a couple of decades. One of the reasons he and I have become such good friends is because we align so closely with that issue. And then this is half of the equation, the stuff we talk about around here, the income side versus the outgo side. Dan, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Dave.